Hello, and welcome to Janet's Craft Corner. Today we're going to be making the shovel and rake door hanger. As always, you need to gather your general supplies, and then in addition you'll need to gather the appropriate paint colors plus some ribbon for this project. We're going to start by putting a base of the medium gray on all of the pieces that have the galvanized look to them. Okay, so now for the galvanite. And I'm gonna pull my tray over here so you can see what I did. You're gonna make little spots of stuff. Not very much of any one. And this is why I have trouble doing this every time. You're gonna use the two other grays, the lighter and the darker. And you're gonna use your white, your black, and your platinum. So you're gonna have 5 total colors. You just want to have little dots of each of them. And your best bet is to kind of have them in a little circle. You do the light gray, the dark gray, and then that shiny gray, platinum. Yes, white and black. Okay, so we've got 3, 4, 5 little piles of paint here. Okay, and we are going to take our bubble wrap. Have to figure out where I put it. And you really don't need a very large piece, so I'm going to kind of cut a piece off of mine to try and make it a little easier to handle. Okay, so take your bubble wrap and kind of scrunch it up like this so you don't have even a straight edge of bubble. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not flat. And then just kind of dip it in so that it gets all 5 colors. You may have to kind of move around a little bit, but you want to get a little bit of every color on there. And you don't want a whole lot of any color, and I got way too much white, so I'm kind of putting some of the other color there. Okay. And then you're going to take that and just dot all over the place.
Oh, interesting.
The bubble, wait a minute, let me get another piece. Okay, so I took the bubble wrap and I cut me a chunk off.
Yeah.
It's probably, I don't know, 2 inches by 4 inches.
Okay.
Something like that, about that, give or take. And then this is the side that has the bubbles up. Okay, so bubbles are up. So I kind of fold it and then scrunch it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get a funky little knobble there. And it gets, that way it's not quite straight. There's little bumps in it in addition to the bubble bumps.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it actually kind of works. You want to, you don't want to go straight down. I'm learning. You want to kind of scrunch and move around. I got way too much black on that one. And then, like I did, I got too much black on this. So I'm kind of going back and putting a little gray on top of that black to where it's on my thing.
Mm. Oh, I got too much color on it, I guess.
Yeah, you got to kind of get your color mix right. Like, see, mine are 2 different sets here. Mine don't look the same, but it doesn't ever look the same, right? So, you know, your white and your black, you kind of got to watch how much of those you get. Because they want to stand out.
This is so cool. I do like the technique.
Yeah, I mean, it's turning out well.
Yeah.
It's also fun to do.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Very fun indeed. Okay. I'm running out of space though. Okay, let's see. I guess. I mean, sometimes it's a bit too random for my taste, but I mean,
You know what? You can always go back with a sponge with whatever color you want to be add in.
yeah. Because
I'm
sometimes
honestly going back and doing a second coat.
Huh?
I said I'm kind of going back and doing almost like a second coat in place.
That's what I kind of did on a couple of mine, because I played around with my color mix until I got my color mix right. I went back and did more then once I got it to a color mix I kind of liked.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's too much. But yeah, it's a fun technique. Interesting.
It is interesting. It's more streaky, I think, than when I use, maybe because of the way I did it. I think I was going a little fast, maybe. Than when I use sponges, but because when I use sponges, I basically use almost all those colors, but I just do them one at a time. I kind of like it.
You have to
Okay,
be
so
open to the randomness, right? And then you just gotta come to that, and then
and that's what she was talking on the tutorial she did. She said, you know, though it doesn't weather in a pattern. So then the rust part. Now the rust part you have to think more about. And maybe I'll put the picture back up for you, but you have to really think more about the rust part. So basically, you want your rust on edges. So you're going to take a sponge to do this one. And then you really got to unload. Yeah, and then you just kind of got to think about where you want rust. And kind of very lightly put it there. You know, rust is always on edges mainly, not like down in the centers. Although you get a little bit of rust on the center part usually. But like I said, you really got to unload it because I'm getting a little bit too much on some of these areas. You really got to unload it. And as I'm doing this, I'm actually picking up a little bit of the black or the whatever, the mix on my sponge, and that's okay because it's still damp. So I'm picking up a little bit of it on my sponge because, you know, it's a thicker paint covering. But that's okay. That makes it kind of go on a little, I don't know, splotchier. It's got a little more of the black stuff mixed in. You know, I am actually kind of putting it on and then going back over it without putting any more paint on my sponge to spread it a little bit, so that, because no matter what you do, I think it's going on a little too thick. But see, I did it really good, I think, on these pieces. It's really light. I'm just really random and really light. You know, add a little bit to it up in, you know, like it doesn't have to all be out on the edges, although you want most of it on the edges. And I got way too much there, so give me a completely dry sponge. I got too much on there. But that's okay. We know how to fix that. We just put this back out there. That is galvanized metal. Okay, so next we are going to do our wood on our handles. Now, we're going to use the faux wood technique, which is the wet wipe and the paint. But you'll notice you've got a really good burn pattern going, so we want to not lose that anymore than we have to. Okay. They almost are okay clear, but I don't want mine clear. Okay. So I'm using honey brown, I think. Yeah. You just want a kind of a lighter brown because I don't think they need to be very dark. They're supposed to kind of look weathered, and dark doesn't look weathered. And then I'm kind of unloading off my thing so I don't have gobs of it on here. And just be careful where you're up along your edges that you go towards the galvanization, not away from it, because you don't want to grab that paint. And it's okay for your brown to overlap just a little bit because you've got the piece coming up to the top, over the top there. So those guys can now be set aside to dry. We are now going to start on our leaves and flowers. So let's start with the leaves. So we're going to use our Whisper Green, which is kind of a really light sagey green color. Because these are summer flowers, and summer flowers usually kind of have a washed out green to their leaves. And then we're just going to paint them up here on this funky piece. It's got lines for where we want to place our flowers, but none of the flower painting is done on this piece, so you're just going to fully paint this piece. So you're going to take the lighter of the two purple colors that you pulled. And they're not really far, my colors at least are not really far apart, but you want the lighter one now. And then you're going to use the darker one for some little shading. If you do shading with a paint, and I'm probably going to switch to a pen to do my shading, or maybe not even do it. Okay, so you're just painting them in the lavender color, whatever lavender color you're using. It's kind of a darker lavender, I guess. It's not real seed there. It's not real super light, but it's not purple. Okay, so then once you've got it all painted lavender with your slightly darker color or with a purple pencil, you're just going to basically go around the outer edges, kind of. So just, really lightly around the outer edges to give it a little depth. And then what I'm doing is I'm kind of putting it on and then rubbing it off the edge a little bit so that it doesn't have as thick it's not as dark and thick as it was.
Yeah.
And you gotta do that quicker than I did it on these, so those are gonna be a little different. Oh well. As always, you guys are just always more detailed than I am, so.
Yeah. Kind of get lost in some of the details.
I'm just not good at that. I'm good at the keeping them real simple. Like even this is for me a lot.
Yeah.
The other half is for those things that I paint for other people. I don't want them to expect the detail. Like this one's not one that I offer painted, so I don't care. But you know, I don't want them to expect the detail when they get one.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
In the
sense.
mail from me, if they ordered a painted version, if a painted version is something that, like on the trucks, I allow the inserts I do paint. You can order them painted, and so I keep it very. I changed one of them, the picture, because I had done some really neat gradients with the sunrise on it.
Oh, nice.
But then I don't want to have to repeat that. So I changed the picture so that it doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. And now comes the fun of trimming everything. And I'm going to put my green face down.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my glue all over that piece. This is the leaves piece. And I'm going to put a good deal of glue on it because I want to make sure it sticks good. But I also have to do it quick enough so that I'm not dry on the outsides. And usually you're really concerned about the outside edges, you're not concerned about the middle. In this case, you are very concerned about the middle because the middle is what's going to hold the two pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to make sure you get your middle. Go ahead and get your outside like you normally would, but then come back through and really nail that middle. But so then we're going to lay this piece on the top half. Obviously, it's the top half. Make sure we get it lined up. And then this piece on the bottom half, and we line up those little star parts. And that's kind of the hard part, to snap it down around those stars. Come on, snap down there. I can't get it that angle. There. I just had a bad angle on it. And then line up the bottom part, and then try to square your green up as much as possible. And then I'm going to turn it over and make sure. Yikes, I didn't let it set quite long enough before I turned it over. Okay, try again. Line up our stars. Snap it down in and hold. Push, 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 push. Try to square as much as we can, as much as we need to. Now let's try flipping it over again. There we go. And we're going to push down and push our piece around if we need to square it up. I'm not quite 100% lined up, but I'm going to go with it. Okay, so that's that part of it. Next, I'm going to leave it this way because it's just too big. And so then we'll do these pieces. Okay, I'm just going to lay them on because I am out. These are not, glues are not working. That's not coming out. So I'll lay it on so you can see what it's going to look like, but I won't be able to actually glue it. So we're going to put our pieces in there. That one goes there. And then this piece goes down here. Now you really start to see how that galvanization really looks good when that layers. Goes up here. Goes there. One of them goes there. Okay, so there's all of our parts and pieces. Watch your little flowers. They don't necessarily go in the small one. The big ones I might, or I just pulled it right, but mine landed fine. In the small ones, I had to switch them. So you might want to lay them out before you start gluing anything. that's putting all the pieces together. We're going to set it aside now while we make our bow. And there is a piece of pipe cleaner in it.
Yes.
And we've got a piece that's going to make our knot, and we've got a piece for our bows part. So our short piece, just like anything we've done before, any of the bows we've done before, we are going to make a knot out of it. Since it's a bigger piece, it's a little harder to make the knot. But we are going to make a knot, and make sure you twist so that your two stems, or what do you want to call these two pieces out here, are going the same direction, because it's not a two-sided ribbon. Okay, for the bow.
Just
So we're going to make
around.
our loop. So then scrunch, twist, make our other half of our loop here, fold it up, make sure they're both the same size. This one's not quite as big. Really bad habit of that. Okay, twist, and then make our one back here just a little bigger. Twist. I'm gonna get my 6 loops. These other two are, you're gonna go the opposite side basically. So they kind of look like they're going there. Here,
Yeah.
Twist. And then pull it so it's coming down this side. Again, it's that bigger side. It's the same, the back two sets are the same size. They're both a little bigger than the front set, but they're the same size overall. And then pull this up and twist, and then pull it around. And see, now I've got almost too much ribbon, which is fine. I'd rather have too much than not enough. Pull it around, and so that the tail is coming down in the same direction as this tail, and I've got my pattern forward. And then I'm going to slide my twist tie in there while I've got it all still scrunched in my hand. So make sure I get all of it here, and twist and tighten, and twist that up really nice and tight. And then I've got, mine's a little too long. You can either just lay your sides down, or I've got snips here, so I'm going to snip mine. Okay. So then now we've got our bow basically formed up the way we want it, and I kept my tail pretty short. I'm going to shorten this one, and I'm going to dovetail my ends. My scissors are. So I'm going to shorten it so it's the same length. And then I'm just going to dovetail my ends. Do my kind of rearranging and scrunching the way I want my loops to land, although I'm going to do a little bit of pushing and flattening, but I'll do it again like I'm on there. So there's our bow, and so now we're going to take our knot. I always put a dab of glue on the front side just because I want to make sure that the knot of the knot stays in the front and that I don't pull too hard on anything. So put that dab of glue there. Then wrap your ends around. And then I'm going to trim this end off so it's about half to 3/4 the way across the back of the bow there. Put my glue down in a row pretty much across the edge of that where that ribbon's going to lay. And then I'm going to use a finger protector because the heat will come through the ribbon. Use a finger protector to hold that down. And get that side glued down good. And then we're going to pull this side up and across and trim it so that we just cover. We don't want it sticking out around the back, so we want to just cover that other piece. And then again, we're going to put a little bead of glue there. And down like that. And hold it there for a little bit. Make sure it gets stuck good. You may want to put a small bead of glue on the outside edges. So they don't fray. That will keep them from fraying if you put that glue right along that edge. If it didn't come into that edge on its own, sometimes I get enough glue underneath that it seeps out on the edge. But if it didn't, just go through and kind of put some glue on the edge. Rub it in a little bit. And that'll keep your edges from fraying. We're going to pull this back over here and add our bow to the center. And there we go. Remember, when you do your bow in the center, if you put a dab of hot glue in the middle and then you make a circle of the regular glue around it, the hot glue will hold it initially and the regular glue will hold it more permanently.
Okay.
So there you go. That's our rake and shovel.